The Education Lounge podcast.
What do you wish you had learnt in school?
Well, the first one that came to my mind was developing good time management skills. So I can't I can't profess to be sort of the best when it comes to managing time.
But you got like homework and stuff, so
No, I mean, I think when you're in school, you know, just if I could do it again, I'd go back and make sure that I was turning up to lessons on time, handing in homework on time, just, you know, doing good things on time. I feel like it does play a part later, you know, in your working life.
But then you do eventually learn that.
Not everyone does. I'm not saying you.
I feel like
a lot of people don't.
I feel like school plays a big part in that. Like I said, that, you know, turning up to your lessons on time, getting into a habit of handing in work on time. I feel like the foundation sort of gets set in. Those foundations get set in school.
Did you do a lot of extracurricular stuff? Because I think from our point of view, like I know we've spoken about this quite a few times, but we did a lot of extra things and we had to fit all of that around all of the other work. Did you have that when you were?
I think, well, when I was younger, yes, because I was doing like cricket, swimming, and I did also, well, cricket and swimming were the two big ones.
What age was that?
Up until, so I think from primary school up until year 9.
Okay.
And then that's when
you fell off. Like,
that did
It's
sort of
very,
coincide with
disgrace.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite similar to my story. Because when you're in like primary, a lot of your time management is done via your parents or teachers.
Yeah.
But it's around that sort of year 8, year 9 time where it becomes your responsibility. So, I mean, it makes sense.
I was quite good with that. Like, I've never been late with an assignment or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're quite good with sort of time management here. Well, both of you.
I've got worse at work, actually.
That's because the onus falls on me to to manage everyone's time.
But then I feel it's a little less. Sometimes it's a little less straightforward with work than it is with like homework. Because homework, you've got like a specific date, and the tasks themselves are very much, you can definitely complete it in that time. But then sometimes with like a work project, things get in the way of other things, get in the way of the thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, even just now as an example, like literally now, it was like we were going to sit down and record at 11, but then phone calls and emails and stuff got in the way, and then we got delayed by an hour.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah. So you need to use those same time management principles that you should learn at school and university and stuff like that. But then sometimes you need to adjust things according to what comes up and prioritize the more important things. And then sometimes, I don't know, a lot of the time, if staff have a lot of different responsibilities and it's not so clear cut exactly what their role is, which tends to be the case with us, because we're managing a wide range of tasks, then you have a little less focus on one specific thing, and thus you need to sometimes adjust deadlines.
We sort of adjusted. Well, I don't know about deadlines, but we adjust who does what as we go along. So like if I have a specific task I need to finish, and you've done yours already or whatever, then I'll say, can you do this for me or whatever. So we do, as we go along, we sort of figure out who's doing what.
Yeah. When I started, and I was just writing.
Yeah.
I could like make my deadlines, like, so I could make like, I've got this much to do at a certain point, and then I could do that. But then I found that quite difficult now, because just because of the other range of tasks around it. So, and what you find is that when in switching a task from task to task, you you lose a little bit of focus, and then you've got to bring your focus back.
Yeah, the momentum of what you're doing.
Time.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find something I read yesterday. You carry on. It's related to this time management thing.
Go on.
But what do you think? I don't know. How do you think you could have learned time management skills better? Did you think if you started younger doing it, or like because you said you didn't, or you sort of started to get quite bad at time management when you were like
a bit complacent? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you think? What do you think was the? Do you think anything could have been done to improve that? Or
well, yes. So it's. I think it's down. It was down to me and just laziness and. So I think looking back now, I try and make sure that I prioritize tasks. So look at what tasks are sort of most important.
But do children who are like year 9 or 8 tend to do that though? Right.
No.
But I think they can. I think that's something that they can learn.
But how do they learn that?
and pick up on?
Well, I mean,
you sit down and you start asking yourself just a simple question. Okay, start with what task is going to take me the longest? Maybe if you can't figure out,
a reflective thinking is something
which one's most important.
Like, all of the stuff you're mentioning is all stuff we've learned like relatively recently, but not while we were at school.
Yeah.
Like we've learned this sort of stuff in the last 7-8 years.
Because I find that kids that are 13, 12, whatever, they don't necessarily reflect much. They don't. Sometimes they don't go through their day and then go, oh. I mean, I know that I didn't really do that. I was just like, this is what I need to do, and then I just did it. But
so what in terms of in terms of homework, then how are you completing that? Were you just on the day that you were given the homework? You were doing it.
I think it helped also that like I remember my friend Rajuvan, I used to call every day and be like, John, have you done the homework? And then I'd like unwillingly sort of have a look at it because so it was probably it might have been just being with a peer group that actually cared about doing the work, and then I sort of forced myself to do it. So it was also like following someone else's example. That probably helps.
So you watched Ali Abdaal's videos? Yeah, he put out a poll to say what productivity and like management tips work for you. I read it yesterday and it's kind of what we were talking about. 3 key tasks a day, so like have 3 main things you want to do that day. Find your most productive time of the day. So like if you're not productive at 10 a.m. or whatever, or 11 a.m, do that important task when you are, like if it's at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So figure out, because it's different for all of us. Like for me, I'm more productive between like 11 and 2.
Like the time of day thing's interesting because like for instance, if I'm writing and so I've written the odd sort of novel for fun, like just so for like National Novel Writing Month and that kind of thing, where you just write a novel in a month, and I found that like starting either really late or really really early are the best times for me to write. So like
they're my like exact polar opposite. That's my least.
I'd get up at like so at uni I would get up at like 5 and then start writing and then write for like an hour, and then like sometimes at night because the idea is just I don't know. I think I'm more creative sometimes at night. Sometimes in early morning. Sometimes I'll just get up and do some writing. And that allows me to finish something off.
Yeah. I'm going to read through a few more of these very quickly.
Yeah.
There's the 2-minute rule. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. So it's like the low-hanging fruit that we were talking about yesterday. Like get that out of the way. And it also helps to build up the momentum of like leading on to bigger tasks. Do you remember I sat down with both of you and we did blocking out stuff on your calendar? Do you remember we did that? I know we don't really look at it all the time, but yeah, time blocking. Add it to your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it won't get done. So literally blocking out a time for blogs, time for editing, whatever it is. Taking breaks, removing distractions, break down smaller tasks, prioritize, and rest properly.
Yeah, sleep
is important.
Yeah.
I don't think I sleep nearly enough.
My sleep is generally actually like one of the good things. One of the things I can actually do. I think if I get anything less than 7, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
But ideally 7.5. From like
when I sleep a lot. Like
it used to be worse. It used to be a lot worse. I used to have to sleep like 9 hours.
Yeah, that was super weird. 9 hours.
When I was younger, though, not now. Now I need 7.
I think 9's good.
Yeah, I mean 8. You're supposed to get 8. Most nights I get 7.5.
No, like
and 8.
6 or 7. But
it depends on your.
Yeah. But no, but I do feel like I'm more tired than I should be, and also like because I've got Gilbert syndrome. Essentially, like I'm more tired than most people because it's a bit weird. It's like my liver produces a bit more bilirubin, and I get more sleepy.
This is probably why I sleep not for the same symptom. I think we spoke about it in the business podcast with Ellie.
Yeah,
somewhere. I need sleep in order for my like gut to recover, because that's when all the rebuilding sort of happens.
Sleep's very important,
and I don't take in all the nutrients and whatever else, so I need the rest to.
So some people are super strange. Like I think Margaret Thatcher, she's known for sleeping very little. Like she was prime minister and she was sleeping like 4 hours a night.
Some people can do that though.
But yeah, there's some people who can. Yeah.
There's no like hard and fast rules. Like with nutrition and diet, like there's no hard and fast rule for everybody.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what works for your mind and your body, and you go with that.
I don't know, man. I feel like for long-term health, though, I feel like you need a good amount of sleep. I from what I've seen, I think you need, a good sort of 7+ hours.
Yeah,
well,
I'd agree.
When I say 7+, not maybe there's an upper limit on that.
Let's check out our 7+.
No.
Watch the 7+ podcast.
7 to 9. So 7 to 9.
I would say 7 to 9 is about right. Yeah.
But
there's some people that work on 5. So.
And there's also quality of sleep, isn't there? So like, there's some, I felt that like sometimes if I get like 6 hours sleep, but it's really good sleep, I think optimal conditions, then you feel so much more rested because you.
Yeah.
And then I've had sleeps that are like 8 hours, 9 hours, and I just feel awful after.
And a lot of it's how you wake up. If you wake up in the middle of like a REM cycle, your day's screwed.
It's the natural.
It doesn't matter how. Waking up naturally is a.
They say waking up with some natural light as well is also really beneficial.
Yeah, it says the first thing you should do when you wake up is get sunlight into your eyes, like as quickly as possible.
I think that's what Erling Haaland does. I saw. I saw a video yesterday about his routine or something, and that's the very first thing he does.
He emerges from his cocoon. Yeah.
So that's time management. Was
don't sacrifice sleep in the pursuit of just being more busy and stuff like that. I think. Yeah, well, I mean, because you'll work better if you're more rested. Yeah. So it's less efficient.
You can either go at 100 for a few days and then go at 0 for a couple of days, or you could go at 75 for all of the days.
That's why there's a lot of people who say like, "Oh, I want to work like," or go out your work at like 15 to 16 hours a day, or 12. You know, like ridiculous hours every day. But I'm just like, how much actual good quality work do you get done in that time? Because I've had like 3 hour stretches. If I'm able to be very optimally like work at my optimum level and with little distraction and and I can get so much work done at time. But then you can have like 8-hour stretches where nothing seems to get done because you're not working optimally.
I mean, with what we do and like the way things are set up, there are distractions basically every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's always a call either between us or an email or a message or a phone call or something, or someone walks in or you have to move your car. There's always something.
Yeah.
So we can't. It's not the case where we can just like lock ourselves away and be like, right, this is me for 8 hours. And then just as you get into a task, it's 4:00 and kids come in for. Yeah, the 4:00 one-to-ones are always in the way, aren't they?
This came off. So it was just saying time management. So is there anything else that we wish?
Well, we've covered sleep as well, really. There's obviously the work side and then the knowledge side. I would say that's kind of a given. I think something that gets overlooked quite a lot, well, a couple of things, is the extracurricular stuff and the social aspect. So I don't know if you want to jump into one of those topics.
What for? As in something else that you can learn?
You can learn.
Yeah, I
think there's.
Go on.
There's that book. So How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Right.
Link.
Like in your interactions with sort of young people, we always interact with young people.
Yeah.
I do feel that some of them will really benefit from a little bit knowing a few tips.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
And it would like significantly benefit them. Like
I think the more you can learn about yourself, your personality traits and personality types, as well as other people's psychology, is the earlier you can do that, the better. I've only started doing that in the last like 7 years or so.
And I mean, like, I can see why it'd be very difficult to integrate into an education system.
No,
I
don't think it will be. But it's something you could learn during that age.
Period.
Yeah. If you know that sort of stuff in school, it would make school a lot easier to deal with, because the whole social dynamic at school is not always great. There's always, So if you can figure out how people work and why they're doing what they're doing early on, that.
But like certain things like dealing with conflict, listening skills, that kind of stuff. Like as in it's kind of assumed that if you throw loads of kids together and stuff like that, they'll just organically learn all the rules of engagement and how to get through those challenges. But then sometimes just like having a little bit of an edge or knowing something can help you sort of navigate those more difficult periods.
Well, the way that everything sort of plays out is in school, when you do throw a load of people together, it just ends up being quite tribal and like animalistic and like base level interaction. Yeah. So if you can step above that and sort of learn why things are happening the way they are and why that person's doing that and why that person's like that and how to deal with that sort of conflict at that age by reading those sorts of books, it's something that I would have probably everyone would have benefited from reading it that early on.
Because like something that I think is, I mean, is something that's ingrained into us is that certain people are just a certain way, and they can't. They just are that way, or they've got that level of ability in this context, or they're emotionally intelligent, or they're not emotionally intelligent, or they're smart, or they're not smart. So all of these things aren't very helpful for developing, because it makes people accept that they can't improve how they are. Point. So like learning,
it's a fixed mindset rather than
a growth mindset.
Growth mindset,
So that's something that really, when we were young, it definitely wasn't. I don't think it was really there that much. Like it's quite a new concept in, I think, schools, because a lot of the time now they're like, I think they. I don't know whether they're I don't know whether they're more confident or anything like that. I'm not sure. Like children.
I don't know. I don't think that sort of changes.
No.
I think it'll be the same percentage of people that are confident compared to the same percentage of people that aren't.
But you found like I've found that I've grown confident as I've learned more.
Yeah, me too.
And learned that like not to accept that things are so fixed. Mm-hmm. So
you can change whatever you want to change. Yeah.
And that's a very powerful thing to know early on. Like that's really what you're trying to do as a tutor. Aside from imparting the knowledge, you're teaching them not to accept that they can't be better and they can't do better.
Yeah.
And a human came up with this, and therefore you can understand this ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Okay,
what are your thoughts?
I was going to say, well, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, but on a more simplistic level, I was just going to say, in terms of things that you can pick up in school or learn in school, is one, I was going to say banter. Just learn to have a little bit of banter with your friends. Learn to take it.
That's what I was going to say.
Right?
Yeah.
Learn to take it and give back too.
Give as good as you get. Yeah.
But in a fun, jovial sort of way, like it doesn't.
No, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, it's the ability to like laugh at yourself.
Yeah. So
I wish I knew that at that age, because I wasn't able to do that when I was that age, and it wasn't good for me.
Yeah, because then you become if you're not able
target,
to if you're not able to say that well, then you become a target for
because they want to see the reaction that you're going to give. Yeah. So I wish I knew that actually.
I mean, I don't know, something that I was. And the thing is, I never learned this from school. I learned this from my mum, because at one point there was someone who's like bullying my friends and me and stuff like that at primary school, and my mum just said, "Don't accept it, don't as in show that you're not a target, and stuff like that." And that really, really helped, because as soon as I gave back, like he knew that I was not an easy target. Yeah.
If anyone wants to learn a load of these things, there's a really good channel called Charisma on Command. Have you seen that?
No, but that's a book, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it might be, but there's a YouTube channel. They're all like 10-minute clips, and it talks through all of this stuff, how to deal with different situations, and it shows like celebrities being put in that place and how they come out of it, and how to command a room, and how, all that sort of stuff. It's a really good channel.
So, sometimes I find that a lot of these tips, they're things that we all know in a way,
inherently know, but don't put in place.
But then you need to constantly remind yourself of these things.
Yeah. It's the same as anything. You have to like practice being in that situation and coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's just how many times, the more times you do it, the better you're going to be at it.
Yeah. So growth mindset is something like I wish we'd learn. Oh, for me, the thing that I wish that I'd learned is more DIY stuff. Like as in, it's a bit of a weird.
You didn't do DT, did you?
No, but like there's certain things that like making something is one part of it, but I think like doing stuff around the house.
Yeah, see, I've been doing that since I was like 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've just always been okay at that sort of stuff.
But like,
did all of this stuff.
I'll give you an example though. So my wife, she's from Vietnam, and she was taught how to do all of these things. Like so like changing a plug, or like as in they're things that you should know how to do. They're not necessarily that complicated, but we should actually know how to do it. And sure, you're in physics and stuff like that, you're taught the theory of like.
Yeah, well, when I've taken physics here, I have taken a plug and I've undone it in front of the kids and then like shown them how to do it.
Yeah,
physically rather than just like.
Yeah. So because that helps you
contextualize.
Contextualize it. But in theory, you know how to do a lot of things, but just practicing on like something like plumbing in a fridge or
plumbing is something I'm not on top of.
No, I think it's a lot of people actually, so electricians and stuff like that, who also have plumbing skills, I've actually said that plumbing's more difficult than electrics. I think electrics a lot more straightforward. I think plumbing.
Well, electrics is binary. It's like it's on or it's off.
Yeah.
Plumbing can.
There's all kinds of problems that you need to solve in plumbing. But yeah, like just
there's pressure and all that sort of stuff, isn't there, to deal with?
Yeah, like basic DIY skills and stuff like that. And also the other thing that I'm quite big on is just financial education, because of some kind.
I think this is something we should have a proper discussion about, because in fact I didn't really think about it before we sat down to do this, but yeah, this is something I've got into properly in the last 3 years. So yeah, go on, what do you think? Because you've been on this for a while. Like since you were in school, you were thinking about compound interest and all this stuff. So.
Well, yeah, like I guess I was, but it kind of starts at home as well, because like my mum would seek out the best saving account and that kind of thing. So I was interested in that, because I was like, oh, why are you changing your account every like 3 years or whatever? And she's like, I get a better interest rate and stuff like that. And I went, okay, and then I understood how that works. And so I was like, okay, so that sort of, your parental education sows the seed of what you can do in the future. But
I didn't really have that.
No, but
in terms of financial stuff.
But then, and you had an entrepreneurial family to some extent.
Yeah,
and that I think that's also.
But that wasn't the case until
later on.
Yeah, until like after I'd left school.
But it's better late than never. It's like
before that, my mum worked in the city, and I didn't.
No, it's really weird, because my dad, like, he worked in the financial industry, but then it was a bit weird because he was never particularly strong in that regard. But I think I learned a lot more from my mum and the way that she managed her money, even though she wasn't in that field.
She's a nurse, right?
Yeah. So she's a midwife.
Midwife.
So I learned more about the discipline of it, and I've noticed as well, like it's about how the environment that you're brought up in. Yeah. But I still think that some mentoring or lessons along the way can help someone out who even if their family maybe aren't, traditionally the best with money, or they're always in debt. Or
so, like, what would you if you were like giving advice now to people of that age?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think the most important thing is actually understanding ratios. So it's related to maths, because like, for instance, just going, how much are you going to set aside every month? So you think monthly, first of all. Have a budget. Just budgeting skills, very important. So, and I mean, how can you teach that? Like it would be a good idea for children to actually manage some form of budget, like in order to create something, and then just dividing things up, like dealing with money from an early age, so they understand how to. I know it sounds like a lot of responsibility, but that's ultimately how they'll learn.
A lot of these companies have cards for like top up cards for kids to start learning how to do that sort of thing. Yeah.
So I mean, I do think they're actually the younger generation. I've noticed they're a bit more clued up.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Again, I would say it's the same. It's down to personality. It's the same as it was for us. Well, they just have more like tools to.
I think that's the thing, is that they've got more tools, but I understand how there's sort of social media's created a bit of a problem where people want to chase the shiny things in life. So young people have to deal with that sort of pressure that is never particularly interested in me. Like if I see a shiny thing, I'm not like compelled to buy it.
I don't know. I was doing that before social media, so
Yeah. But I think now it's just like they're bombarded.
It's exacerbated. Yeah.
So whilst they've got better tools to learn how to do this, and there's more. I think there's more educational content out there.
Yeah, more than ever.
So they can be sort of more clued up on it. Really essential, like building wealth isn't complicated. It's about habits, cultivating good habits, and I think that can be learned from doing something like, say, managing a project with a budget.
Yeah,
and not overspending and that kind of thing. So there's little things that you could
maybe
potentially
preparing a meal.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, like
how are you
going to prepare this meal for like the lowest cost possible? Or,
for like 4 people. It's all again. That's all ratios as well, isn't it?
Because like some people have ridiculous food budgets, like including us.
But that's where all of our money goes on.
But
food.
I'm like amazed at how much they spend on food, and it is sometimes just because I know food has gone up in price, inflation, and all that, and that is a problem.
Yeah.
But there are like sort of ways of producing a meal more cheaply and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's like more of the everyday sort of discipline things. I mean, with me, it wasn't so much an issue because I understood sort of the idea of discipline and stuff. I was quite frugal. I've always been quite frugal, but I think for certain people, just a little bit of help early on would actually benefit them a lot in their adulthood.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned habits and you mentioned money. I've literally recently finished reading The Psychology of Money,
Morgan Housel,
and Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
So you just combine those 2 books together and you've got everything you need.
It is about habits at the end of the day, like cultivating good habits. And yeah. I don't think it's not even complicated. It's just
not complicated. No. We did a whole podcast on this exact topic.
Finance, yeah.
We said automating was a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because I have all of my savings, investing, everything's automated.
Yeah.
And I don't really notice it leaving the account.
Yeah.
But if I was to physically go in and go transfer that much to savings account, I will see it leave.
Yeah.
But
and then I think everyone, I think I've said this in our previous podcast about finance.
we did the investing one,
the investing one. About pensions and that kind of thing. Like a lot of people don't understand how they work.
Yeah,
and I think just a bit more awareness and education from an early age into what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that will never be taught in a school.
Yeah,
for reasons.
Yes,
that's not going to change.
No, but I mean,
they're not going to teach you how to do taxes and pensions in school. It's something you need to actually go and.
Yes, no, but I mean, this isn't just things that people learn from school. It's just it's just additional things that you wish that you'd learn. So, because like I don't. They like to. Our economy is actually very dependent on people seeking finance, right?
Yeah,
seeking finance.
So it's all debt driven. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, like there's a sort of incentive for like education systems and stuff like that, not necessarily to teach you how to.
Don't teach you how to save
and that kind of thing.
Spend more, and then obviously when you go to uni, you're spending to be there as well.
Yeah.
So it's just and then you leave and you're like down here somewhere.
Yeah.
We spoke about the compound interest stuff. I wish I started doing investing and compound interest and all that dividend.
I wish I'd done it from like
age 10 or something. Yeah.
I don't know, younger.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've only been doing that for like three years.
Yeah.
4 years maybe. And I wish I started like 20 years ago, or whatever it was, like when I was a kid. Because where that portfolio would be now, if I'd continue to put in a certain amount per month, would be insane.
Probably be retiring. What about you, sort of? Like, I don't know what you think about.
In terms of what?
Like, sort of learning a bit more
about financials
and
money, saving,
investing.
And,
I don't know, anything like that.
No, this just echo what you guys said. Yeah, start early. If you can learn about it when you're younger, I suppose it will. I'm not like an expert on this, so
yeah.
I
mean, none of us we're not experts on this either, but we've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think it would have helped having some sort of lessons.
Just like a few, like it doesn't have to be a lot. Like I don't think it's that complicated in the.
It's not. You just need to know to do it, and then you just need to do it.
Yeah, like wealth building isn't.
It's not complex.
It's not complex in essence. Like
it's the time element.
Yeah.
The
obviously, like I think this starts at home too. So like parents need to sort of encourage a lot of good habits at home in order for their children to.
But how many parents have these habits already? To instill into.
Yeah, no, it is difficult because children learn from what they see.
Yeah,
they don't learn from, like, if they see their parents acting a certain way, they will follow it. Without question, generally.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some that don't, but it's kind of the majority that will just follow. So you do tend to see like families going on the same trajectory. If one generation has poor mismanagement of finances, then it tends to perpetuate into the future.
Kind of. I don't know. I don't think that's the case for me. I'm doing the opposite because I saw how badly stuff can go. So I'm making an active effort to not do that.
It sometimes happens in that direction too. But I generally see that if financial mismanagement is happening before, then it will continue into the future.
Yeah. No, you wanna break the
cycle.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm planning to do. What I'm doing. Do you have anything else that?
I mean, it's quite basic, but organisational skills, like turning up to lessons with the right equipment. Like, if you've got a maths lesson, bring your calculator, your maths set. If you've got even like we used to have what do you call cooking lessons? What's the food
FT?
Yeah. and you were asked to bring in certain ingredients, certain tools. Yeah,
we had it all supplied.
Well, we paid enough for it. I mean, I'm sure they could give us a bit of cabbage to make coleslaw with.
So very often you'd find students coming in without the right stuff. Again, I think it plays a role later in life, just getting into good habits.
Yeah. We had did you have lockers at your school for your books and stuff?
No.
Because a lot of the time we had lockers, but a lot of the time people would carry everything. I remember there being one of the kids in our class was quite small, and his bag was bigger than him. It was like all of the books.
That was
so
like me.
You could just like tap him and he'd fall backwards like a turtle.
that was exactly
just
like
carry
me
everything with you.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to take like a big thick French dictionary, a big thick German dictionary. I used to get there was one stage where I'd carry every single textbook in my bag.
Yeah,
it was
like
ridiculous.
Yeah,
I didn't need it, but it was.
Yeah, you have a folder. You've got like a geography book.
I just carried it. I didn't feel, but I was a bit of a strong. I don't know. I was really strong. Like even in year 7 and 8 and that kind of. Like when I was small, I was still really strong. So I just carried it. I wasn't that bothered. But there were some people who looked, a little like it was a lot of effort, but for me it wasn't. So.
Okay. Speaking of which, what about health and like strength and stuff? Because I used to really hate doing cardio stuff. I still hate doing cardio, like running. I know you run now, don't you?
Yeah.
I do.
Not as often as I used to, but I do.
Yeah. I do like training and stuff now. And I haven't really been that ill since I started training properly. I wish that I was doing strength, like weight training, again probably when I should have started investing, like 10, 20, whatever years ago. I wish I started that earlier. So
Yeah.
were there any like exercise or health things you wish you'd have done?
I started playing squash quite young.
Yeah.
So for me, I was quite active. I was generally doing football or athletics or cross country as well.
I hated cross country, steeplechase.
I was in the cross country team. I mean, I can't imagine doing it now. I can't run at all now. But then actually, I wish I'd done less of it, because I think it's affected my
Like joints and
my
stuff.
joints,
Yeah.
a little bit, because I did so much. I did like triple jumping, and I think that really, if you're not doing it in optimal conditions and stuff like that, it's not very good for your joints. So I wish I had done more low impact exercise, like just swimming.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I think that's something we should do more of in schools.
Yeah.
I think some schools do offer swimming lessons, and I think maybe, but
They
seems
do
to
a
be
lot
for a
more
short
of it
period.
now. They do a
Like,
lot more of it now, I think.
Maybe for a term, or
There's a lot of people who don't know how to
swim. Yeah,
swim,
yeah.
yeah.
I think
so that's like a life skill. What else?
There wasn't really a gym, or we didn't really do much in terms of weights.
Yeah, until later on, and then they had a gym.
Yeah.
Because they built the.
Did your school have any?
yes, a small one. Well, when I say gym, there were no like weights or anything.
Oh.
It was more what do you call
Machines.
it? No, it was
A treadmill.
no, it wasn't even that. It was just, it was just I think
It was a hall. It was an empty hall with Siri standing in the middle.
it's more. I think more of a basketball court.
Yes,
Yeah.
an empty hall.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but that's not a gym.
No. There were like benches and things, but
But you didn't have weights. For
they were more for. It seemed to be geared more for gymnastics rather than
right.
Yeah, but see, I wish
Rather
that
than
we got
strength training.
doing like body squats and like push-ups or whatever else.
Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong.
But I don't know. I used to do a lot of, because I did martial arts. I did a lot of stuff outside school. So
Yeah,
like,
I used to
I was
do.
always doing
I did
press-ups.
swimming outside of school. I did karate when I was younger as well. I did badminton outside of school as well.
I wish I'd done something like flexibility related, like yoga or
Yeah, that's something that wasn't really huge when we were.
yeah.
Like
wasn't
now
really.
it's.
But I wish I'd done something more flexibility, and sort of related to flexibility when I was younger, because now my flexibility is not that good.
The flexibility gets worse when you're doing like weights.
Yeah. So you need to balance things out.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You have
I need something that I'm gonna, because you started doing yoga recently, right?
yoga and weightlifting. So
It's a good combination because you have the
Yeah.
strength stuff, but you also have the.
Some days where I do yoga, some days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing it as well. But nutrition-wise, talking about health, the amount of crap that I ate when I was at school, that tuck shop, all of the like cookies and crisps, and
Same.
but I guess you got different taste buds and different whatever when you're that age.
I didn't want to spend any money, so I didn't. So I didn't actually spend
I
any
spent
money.
so much money in that place.
I didn't really spend money because I had a budget of £30 a month. So
Mine was similar. I had about £10 a week, so about £40 a month. All of it would go on that in that shop.
you saved it all.
We had a very good tuck shop and canteen.
Yeah.
Or I used to think then. Don't know if I think the same now, but I used to love getting food from the canteen and tuck shop.
Yeah, I used to sell the food that I had. All of the entrepreneurial stuff started at like age 11 because my dad had like a shop.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sweets and stuff in there you couldn't get in
Oh, yeah.
school. Like there were like sour chewits and all that sort of random stuff. So I'd take it from there for free and then sell it at 5 times the price that you'd sell it in the shop, and
Yeah.
people would buy it. Like end of the day when they run,
And you'd get it super cheap because
No, I got it for free.
yeah.
I got it for free and I sold it for like 5 times
Yeah.
the price.
Yeah.
And then like at the end of the day when like when you try and go and get the cookies and they've finished and you've got maybe like one left in your pocket, I would sell that for like 3 times what it would cost to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I think. Well, I think a lot of young people can't appreciate because they've got no experience of it. Is like entrepreneurship, and well, actually, just knowing how a business operates. Because I think we've got quite an anti-business mindset in the UK, even though, and think about it, like it's important for everyone to have jobs and stuff like that. So you need like there's a whole load of things like sort of power and economy. I think if people were more sympathetic for smaller businesses, it would actually improve life for everyone generally.
Well, think about how difficult it is. Say you're getting a mortgage, for example, having a PAYE slip and you're in business, like it's purposely way more difficult because obviously they want you to be just in the system doing your...
Yeah, but then at the same time, you need people in business in order to have people
jobs,
on PAYE and stuff like that. Yeah. So, and I find in this country as well, like it's very much everyone against everyone else. So, for instance, trade unions and bosses and that kind of thing not working together. Whereas I think in other economies, it's not as combative. Like it's not like one side versus the other side. It's more like working together to actually like. So Germany is quite well known for working quite like bosses, like businesses and trade unions tend to work quite better together than they do in this country. Whereas here it's more like the little man trade union person and the sort of bosses of companies.
What do you mean by working together though? Like how?
There's a lot more compromise from both sides. So sometimes what happens is
things like workers' rights, you mean?
Yeah. And pay and that kind of thing. So like there seems to be a bit more mutual understanding between groups rather than it being, at the moment it seems like a bit combative. Whereas like in actuality they need to work together to create a solution that works for both sides. In Germany it's more like if a business cannot afford to pay more to its workers, then there's a clearer understanding that is the case, from the trade union side. So they understand the needs of the business. The businesses are also understand the importance of retaining as many workers as possible. So they're both less likely to let people go unfairly and that kind of thing, but they're also more likely to give a fair wage across the group. So people there's more equality in pay. I don't know, like it's a bit, there's a bit more give and take, like it's more collaborative. Whereas here it's more like, oh, we negotiated, the other side wasn't willing to listen, that kind of thing. So you get kind of really poor relationships between sort of the higher executives and the working person, so the workers,
which ends up resulting in strikes.
Yeah, it ends up in like mutual dissatisfaction on both sides. But working in collaboration is important. So people understanding the needs of businesses. So there being more education about like how businesses work and that kind of thing will help them understand like why they can't demand a certain wage and stuff like that, or and it may mean that there's a bit more of a mutual understanding from both sides. I don't know, like that's what I think, because it's always like this person versus this person, but really like groups need to work together to come to an agreement that works for both sides. I mean, it comes into the listening skills thing as well, like learning how to communicate together and come to an actual decision. There's a lot of things that are just left up in the air, I feel, in the UK. So
I wish we had business at our school as like an option.
Yeah, like a first job. Sort of.
You mean the subject?
No, I
Business.
mean the subject.
Business studies.
We never had business studies.
Oh, we didn't. Yeah.
Wish we did.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know if I was back then and I was at that age, whether I would have chosen it. But with my mind now, I would have chosen it.
I think it's considered to be a bit of a, like, I don't know, it's considered to be a bit of a soft option. But
Is it?
yeah, like academically. But then, because it's not as hard as economics. Or, but
I would argue.
but
I would argue it's pretty useful.
But yes, it's very useful.
I was going to say the same. Yeah,
It's very useful, but sometimes, even if something's, like I said, it's the same with like, you know, wealth building or investing or something like that. It's not complicated to get started, but
Yeah.
but sometimes people look down on just learning the basics, but they're extremely important.
Yeah. I get that. I mean, we've got to where we are now
Yeah.
without taking it as a subject.
It's a bit like, you know, changing a light bulb, right? It's not hard to do, but you should know how to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
It's so some things in life are like that.
So if we were to summarize all of the stuff we've spoken about, so time management, social dynamics, financial health, entrepreneurship and business, and everything we've spoken about, I guess what links everything that we've spoken about is none of it is difficult to do. You need to actively try and like look this stuff up by yourself, because it's not always going to be taught within school. And the third thing is to start early. Investment, health, financial, time management, all of this stuff, and entrepreneurship as well. If you can start that as early as possible, I'll say those are the three things that link everything together.